man. Robbie's a no-show because he sucks.
Robbie is having margaritas and daiquiris on the beach in
Lord,
Colombia.
is he?
He took,
That's a cocaine vacation right there, sir.
yeah, yeah,
Cocaine,
exactly.
man. He's on business trip. When people say they're on business and they're going to like
Business.
Colombia, I have questions. I have a
He
lot of
took,
questions.
he took his wife and kids as cover. It's all a cover. He's partying hard.
Can you really party with kids? I swear to God, someone's like, "Yo, bro, you want to come and hang with us?" Like, honestly, no. They're like, "What?" I was like, even when I was young, I'd probably say no because I'm not a party type of guy. But now, a party is me calling people over and joining like Xbox game party. That's a party.
Party
I
for me is kid knocks out mad early, and I have mad time to watch TV and sleep in the next day. That's legit. I would not go out if I could do that.
my kid knocked out at 7:30 today, which made me so freaking happy. Normally he's been
Yeah.
knocking out at around 8:39, which is really like putting a strain on my life. But he
Yeah.
didn't take an afternoon nap today, and he just fell asleep. And I was like, "Blessed child, you are giving me my evening of me not fighting with you." I actually watched a TV show before I started this podcast. This is
Yo, I
insane. This
I
is
have
so
like
freaking blessed.
I got a late night tonight for with work wise, so I put the kid down mad early. I conned him. He
You
usually
put
goes
your
to sleep
kid
at eight
down.
o'clock. Yo,
Remember the first time you said that?
I put him down at like 7:20,
Yeah.
and he went to bed for like 10 minutes. He realized, yo, what the fuck? I don't sleep at this time. He woke up pissed, fucking shaking his fucking crib like he's in jail. Yeah, let me
You
out. This is
caught
fucked.
me. You
Yeah.
scammed me, you piece of
Then
shit.
he insisted on me giving him a business card, my business card, and he went to sleep with him holding my business card.
That's actually pretty baller, man.
Like he's
He's
gonna
like,
sue me or some shit.
he's like, I'm gonna give this to my lawyer, so I'll send him
Yeah,
our
yeah,
paperwork.
yeah,
Holy
exactly.
smokes!
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
Yo, before we get started, I have one thing I wanted to get off my chest. As always, I just gotta get something off my chest, man. Sometimes life is just like that. Gotta get shit off my chest.
Before you say anything, you better fucking introduce yourself and me.
Oh yeah, introductions. Do
What?
introductions. My
Yeah.
name is Shinda Singh. I have no notable titles to myself. I'm just Shinda, aka Singh. No, I take that back. I have Singh to my name, which is a huge title in itself. So,
Yes. So do like Indians from all over the world and every part of India. Like Tamils have Singh in their name. Rajasthani Zoo. Who doesn't, man? Who doesn't?
and my pronouns are he, him. So be sure to address me properly because I feel like any other misrepresentation of me would be considered assault.
Yeah. If you say they, you'd be pissed.
Nah, I'm cool with it, man. Call me Tusi if you want. But
Oh
you,
shit.
you are a
Yo, what he's
douchebag,
saying? What he's saying? What he's
aka
saying?
Ranjit Singh.
He's
Or
right, douchebag Ranjit up in the house. My kid's
Esquire,
asleep. I
make it
don't do that
official.
shit.
Make
Fuck
it
that.
official. Ranjit Esquire. He's a
Fuck
lawyer.
that.
He sues people for a
I'm
living. I only
Vakil
put this
Jack.
out there. I always remind people that you're a lawyer in case you want to sue me. I'm gonna be like, no, no, sue him. He's the guy who takes care of that, not me. I don't got
No,
time
I
for that.
mean, sue the podcast, but yeah, I'll
Podcast
take
not
care of it.
incorporated.
I mean, yeah, sue the podcast,
Yeah, what
and
happens
I'll
if you
take care
sue?
of it.
What happens if you sue the podcast, but the podcast isn't a real entity? Does it just go to null?
Well, they got to do their fucking due diligence and figure out who to sue. So I'm not gonna make anyone's life easier,
No.
just in case.
There was a
But
time when I was getting sued, and the guy was just dropping random lawsuits to every single person on a forum who talked shit about him, and he couldn't figure out how to sue me, which was beautiful because everyone around me got lawsuits for like up to $1 million.
wait, how'd you not get named in a lawsuit? I don't understand. You just put in the person's fucking name.
People don't know my name. I
Oh, they
mean,
don't know your real name. But even aliases work, man. Or John Doe.
they kept putting me. No, but it's not even name. They need to know how to get in touch with the. I don't know. I'm such a ghost sometimes. I'm a ghost when I want to be, even though I'm like front and center on social media nonstop.
Right. Right. Anyways, good luck trying to sue us for anything we say here because it's all based in fact. So
And it's all editorial opinion or some shit. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
I don't know. I don't fuck it. Whatever. Everything applies. All defenses on the table.
look, man, look. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest and upfront with you. I have zero money for you to take. This is just gonna be
Mm,
one of those fruitless lawsuits that I'm gonna just keep putting everything under my kid's name anyways.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the base you kind of get out of lawsuits. I loved it. Every time this,
Judgment proof?
yeah, they just put everything under every single kid's name, under their wives' names, and like
Y-
they were
Yeah,
untouchable until they got divorced, and then
you'd
they've
be
been fucked.
surprised.
How much of
You'd
that
be
shit came?
surprised how often like somebody will call me. They're like, kicking the tires on trying to retain me. They'll be like, "But Baji, can I just put my house in my wife's name now?" After the lawsuit started, they're like, no, it's kind of
That's just
obvious, right?
it's a little late for
What you're
that.
doing. It's got a little late for that. They're coming for the house, brother. Um,
Now going after houses must be lit. Two
oh
million dollar,
man,
$3 million houses.
it's crazy. Everybody's going after houses. Any default on any like agreement, loan, anything, it'll be like, all right, let's go for this house.
Even banks are probably like, yo, if we're foreclosing, we're closing that shit today. We're not
Banks,
worried about letting people under. Banks are
banks.
mad greedy with that foreclosure.
Yeah, yo.
Anyways, actually, that's not what I wanted to get off my chest. What I wanted to get off my chest was I just a few minutes ago watched the Star Wars trailer,
All right, all
Obi-Wan
right.
Kenobi, airing on
Goosebumps.
Disney Plus, and I will hands down say this was the best looking Star Wars TV show to date. It made me feel ways that Mandalorian didn't, that Boba Fett didn't. Was there any other show actually? It's just been those two, right? No, there was one more.
Series shows? No, I think just those two so far.
So I actually kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi character. I don't know. This was by far though the best Star Wars trailer. It looks like it's decently budgeted. I don't really care for when I say the show seemed
Production and budget, that's what you care about.
look the production budget, but the story. I read the Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the few Star Wars like actually no, I read a bunch of them, but it was one of my favorite Star Wars stories where Obi-Wan Kenobi's living on Tatooine. Um, Even though it's boring as hell because all he's doing is walking back and forth between this katana and like cantina, whatever they call him. But Obi-Wan's like a proper Sadhu type guy to me. So an Obi-Wan show, and then they got the Inquisitors and they're hunting down Luke. I don't know what to expect, but yes, goosebumps, like you said.
So,
It made me smile. It was the one time watching Star Wars. The only time I smiled this much watching one of these Star Wars TV shows was Mandalorian when Luke made an appearance to
yeah.
get them out of jail or whatever. But
Yeah, I feel that, man. First of all, I know the fucking Yoda's in the background there in your room. So even though you're not a big Star Wars guy and you shit on things that you shouldn't, respect.
I
But yeah,
know
man,
for a fact I'm probably a bigger Star Wars guy than you.
you think you're bigger. I mean,
You're a Trekkie. Let's be clear. You're a Trekkie. You
I like
probably.
both. I like both. I
All I
like
know
both.
is I've read
I
more
can't like
Star
both.
Trek. I've read more Star Wars novels than you.
Yeah?
How many have you read? I read 4.
No, not many.
All
Probably
right, so I
like
got
7, 8. 7, 8, that's probably it.
okay. Fuck. Well, all right. You're a Star Wars penal.
Yeah, but like I know old
I watched
canon.
I,
I'm not familiar with new canon.
I
So
watched all the cartoons.
I didn't watch Clone Wars.
I watched Clone Wars. I watched Rebels. I
No, I
watched
didn't watch cartoons.
I watched that other one that came out recently. Bad Company. No, it wasn't Bad Company.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was Bad Company, wasn't it?
I think it was Bad Company.
Yeah, it
But
was Bad Company.
yeah, I watched Bad Company. I haven't read the comics. I really wanted to read the comics. I haven't caught the comics. But I've done like 4 of the books.
Right.
But
So,
we're
and like fuck the dick measuring contest on who's a bigger fan. Let's just recognize we both are.
we're both
Um,
nerds, and that we need to go touch grass.
yeah. So at least at the very least, then maybe you can like I was taking some notes. Like I've watched this trailer now for like I think I watched it with you now.
I
So
only
that's
watched it
probably like the
once.
fifth
I
or
watched
fifth or
it
sixth
once.
time I've watched it in the
When I
last
first time
2
watching it,
days.
I wanted to save watching it till today because I'm a loser.
And yo, there's like so much that's teased in there and like given away. Like that's why I fucking hate trailers, but it's such a catch 22. You don't want to watch it, but you do. So like Obi-Wan, this is like the time period after the prequels, before A New Hope, I guess.
Yeah.
So we have like that like 20, 25-year-old gap when like Luke's a fucking baby and then he goes off to fight
And this is
Darth
when the
Vader.
Rebel saga's happening.
Yeah, and the Jedi's at this time like are still getting hunted by, Darth Vader's group. They're called something. I forgot what the name is.
The Inquisitors.
Yeah, exactly. They're carrying out Order 66. So like this trailer kind of fucks with you a little bit because like everybody thinks that Obi-Wan Kenobi is exiled to Tatooine and he's like his job is just to fucking watch Luke grow up and keep him safe. But then the
Jedi
trailer
babysitters.
the trailer has scenes that what looks like Coruscant or some shit. So it looks like he goes off world, right? So they're opening up a door for more adventure, I guess. I don't know. And I'm expecting to see Vader at some point or another. And they're showing some old characters, like the uncle guy who raises Luke is in there as well. I hope they use the original Anakin actor to be Vader. That'd be pretty cool. I heard rumors that that's the
That
case,
he might
but
be making an appearance.
yeah, that'd be sick. So I think most of the series, I know it's a limited series, is gonna be fucking about the Inquisitors, but I'm guessing there'll be a Vader appearance. I hope it's more than appearance, and you actually get some fucking like.
I feel like
couple
it's going to be a
episodes
lot
of
of background noise, like the.
it.
Have
Yeah,
you found them?
yeah, maybe.
Just
But
like
I want to see. I want him
bats
to see him
from
like fucking
over
shit up.
shoulder.
I want to see Vader as he like comes into his role as Vader, like or young Vader.
Kind of.
You know.
I mean, when Luke came into Mandalorian, in that one scene, I was taken aback. Like in the prison scene where he's freeing, I was like, I had no.
Yeah.
It just caught me off by surprise, right? Like it was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And I was losing my shit, like, oh no. And then afterwards, when they did Luke and Boba Fett, like showing him train, I can't even say his name, but when they were training him, young thing,
Young Yoda, yeah.
not young,
What's
what's
his
his name?
Grogu?
Grogu.
Thank you. Oh my god.
When they were training young Grogu, I'm like, you know what? Y'all putting too much of young Luke in this, in Boba Fett. I just didn't. I like, that's a whole. You guys are going. You're combining the two. Like I realize all the same universe, but like one thing I liked about the Rebels, the movie, was that it was without the Jedi, right? It was just like, what are the people dealing with in this situation? How are the soldiers fighting this out?
Right.
I really liked about the Mandalorian, where it was like, let's just follow this one guy in a Jedi-free world. So in that time, I didn't mind the Luke thing, and now we know that there's like these 3 Jedi power Force wielders out here. But I don't know. That one time, I was like, man, you guys are putting too much of this back thing on Luke. Which, if you're gonna do it properly, but don't kind of tease us with it to be like, oh yeah, Luke. I just felt like I was getting teased too much there. But with this one, with Obi-Wan Kenobi, I know it's Jedi. I know Jedi are gonna be a bigger focus and like a part of it. Which that's kind of exciting that they're going in that direction with it. So
Yeah, like to your point, what they did with Luke in Mandalorian, where he shows up and at the end, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, that's amazing, and they leave you with that cliffhanger. I don't want that cliffhanger in Obi-Wan because I don't want a cookie cutter approach to each series. So it's like now I'm expecting it. Like if I don't see Vader for all the entire series, I'm expecting him at the finale.
yeah, fair enough.
Right?
And I think now that you mention it, I think that's where we're gonna see Vader final scene. Have you found my chestnut?
Yeah, but
Or
I'd
something.
rather just have him like episode 6. Just have him in there now. Like that'll be the cliffhanger to the next week. But like, and make something more fucked up happen because I think it's Palpatine's voice at the start, right? So we know Palpatine's around.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Oh yeah. It's Palpatine like that. I mean, it has to be Palpatine's voice at the start, right?
Okay, yeah.
So Palpatine's there. Maybe like he's a surprise. I don't know, but or like something he does is really surprising. I don't know, but
What
I
about
really
Leia?
hope. Yeah, and like Leia's on what's that planet, man? Alderaan. She's on
Yeah.
Alderaan. Right. Fuck, I'm such a nerd.
Princess Queen of Alderaan
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Princess.
She's been Grace on Alderaan this whole time. Maybe like, something with her happens where like her guardian parents show up, or Vader finds out that she's somewhere and they're chasing her or something. I don't know, but it's
But
something
like
cool,
Vader never
something out of
really
the box.
acknowledges that he has a daughter in the movies either, right? It was never like, "You are my daughter." They kind of like, "You are my son," and then later on, Luke's like, "You are my sister." Oh
It's all a bunch of
shit!
Punjabis up in the galaxy, man. Some boy prejudice there, boy bias.
Yeah. And then it's like I had a crush on Luke had a crush on Layla, and they're like, "Well, I guess we're not
That's
romantic
so
interests
weird.
anymore." That was weird, but
That's
I
a
just want to get that
yeah,
off my chest, man.
that's a
But
huge debate. Did he
talking
actually
about
like her,
no, he liked her.
or did he just have a connection and he didn't know what it was? Just figuring it
Okay.
out.
Hmm. I like how you wiped out incest from the Star Wars universe with that
Yeah, I mean, because they're
line of
both fucking
questioning,
force sensitive people. Like, there's something in them telling them that there's something connecting.
and they're
Like,
twins,
I'm just saying he didn't have a stiffy when he saw her. That's all I'm
and they're
saying.
twins. Maybe it wasn't even a force connection. Maybe they're just twins,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, "Huh, I feel like I should have shared a crib with you. What's going on here?" But talking about like the force and getting rid of like the dark side. India, Punjab elections just happened yesterday. The results came out. Elections happened like what, a month ago.
Yeah, but
That's actually pretty cool. They have their elections and then they're like, we need a month of peace. Everyone just chill.
and then we're gonna count out these ballots and then release the results.
I'm always curious that people aren't more up in arms about like corruption and like votes being
Tampering.
tainted at that point. Yeah, vote tampering.
Yeah,
It's kind of I've
yeah.
never really understood it. Is it a big deal? Am I missing something there?
You know what? I'll be honest. I think they've just always done elections this way. They all assume that there is vote tampering. Not to the point that Trump does it, but they all assume there's some amount of tampering. You always now they do. I think it's electronic voting there too, so you'll see like videos of like the screen, glitching or something. I think in some places there is electronic, but still most places ballot. But I think it just comes with the territory. People expect a certain
That one.
margin of tampering. So who gives a fuck? It's gonna
They're like, it's
happen
gonna happen for
regardless.
everyone. But
Yeah,
the
exactly.
month break, I remember someone asking someone about it, and they said they do it so that it gives everyone few weeks to like calm down, get that energy out of your system, like jita jolt from that. Like, it's basically to prevent riots. Like if they release the election the same day, you'd get people like up in arms over the results. So you give everyone like a little buffer room to like get cooler heads and whatever. But apparently this election was a huge surprise.
Oh
Aadmi
man,
Party 92 seats.
yeah. It
Congress
was
18, Akalis 3. Akalis are basically, they got 3 seats. So BJP, the guys responsible for fucking over farmers and Modi's like national side, got 2 seats. Akalis only got 1 seat more than them. So
yeah.
in that mind, I'm creating like an equivalence of like, well, the BJP and the Akalis are seen almost 1-1 right now. Akalis slightly better, I guess. I don't know.
No, well, slightly. No way. They're on par. You can't just one seat
One
more. That's
seat.
nothing. Yeah. So they're
I
on
mean,
par, and
you
they're
gotta be
historical
mathematically correct.
allies. They had allies in the sense like they had
Alliance.
an alliance exactly. So that's how they formed government. That's how they've been working together for fucking decades. So when one gets shit through, the other does too, right?
And so yeah, so Punjabi's not happy with the Khalis. Congress 18. I don't know if I have any thoughts on that because I always equated Congress with 84 and the national like the national side, but they've
Right.
always been pretty popular in Punjab.
Yeah.
Aam Aadmi Party know nothing really about them. Who are they?
To be honest, I'm not a fan of the Autumn Army Party, but I'm willing to give Bhagwant Mann a chance. But for me, they're a handout party. They've always been, I guess, it's a bad equivalent or a bad comparison, but an Indian version of the NDP where they were never really expected to get into power, so they would promise the fucking world and free this, free that, and
Talking about free this, free that. Bhagwant Mann a few years ago said free Jagtar Singh Johal, right? Free Juggy. You think he has any? He's gonna continue
no,
that
it's
rant?
not. No, he's that. I think that'll go quiet. But like free power, free water, free gas, like or subsidized gas, shit like that. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's what I always equate him. I'll tell you why. So, fuck it. You guys call me Dilly boy. I'm just gonna use Dilly as an example. First of all, there's a lot of people that say he's Kejriwal's puppet in Punjab, which is bad for him. He's really got to separate himself from Kejriwal for me to actually fucking like him.
Hmm.
But when Aad Army Party, won in Delhi, I saw Delhi before that, and then I saw Delhi, after about 3-4 years of Aad Army rule, and I noticed something
So
just out
Aam
of my
Aadmi
own
actually
life.
did win. They won before in Delhi. Like they formed government there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
Okay.
they're the government there now. They've for a couple of terms now. So in their first term, it was like 2-3 years into first term. It was on a trip to Delhi. I live off the highway. Think of like a huge highway, like the 401 by Pearson Airport. Huge,
Okay.
a huge stretch. Okay, like
So you
where
live in
it's really
Malton.
wide. It was really wide, and there's shops along the side of the highway, little like huts,
Hmm.
and buses, because buses go from there to Punjab quite often, right? And Haryana. So, I'm in Delhi. I see, all these shops on the side of the road. I go back to Canada. Next year, I come back, and these shops are no longer on the side of the highway. They're fucking on the highway. They've like ingressed, and
How
there's
does that
there's
work?
like a
Does
mini mall. It's fucked of like little huts on the fucking highway, and
yeah.
traffic has to go around it, and traffic is now like there's a reason why the highway is that wide. It's huge. So I was asking my dad and his friends. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on? Why doesn't the government stop anything?" They're like, look, all the main parties in power, they promise if you are, of the socioeconomic class that's like low caste or a migrant from, Bangladesh or some other country, or Bahar or something. They'll be like, "Yo, come here, come here. Um, you know, we'll help you guys get free a flat, some place to
How
stay, get
did
you
they
a
do that though?
job, get you free electricity." They did, and then these people come here, they set up shop, they get all these free services, and I'll be like, "Yo, fuck, this is pretty good." All right, your cousin back in Bangladesh or Bahar or whatever, come to Delhi, stay with me. And what do? They come in as well. The city doesn't have the infrastructure to fucking house and maintain and give services to these people. So what you have is one of the most populous cities in the world with a government that's giving out crazy freebies that doesn't invest in infrastructure and the network needed to support those people. But yo, in the news, the sound bites, it sounds great, but when you actually see the daily life and shit, it's fucking gone downhill.
So would you
And
say the
I
people of Delhi are
the
sick of
people that
it?
have been there for a long time and like didn't vote for Adami Party, they're like, yo, fuck, yeah, fine, socially you might be liberal, but like, and some of your values might be okay, but like, fuck, you're not a practical party, man, and it's fucking ruining our day-to-day life. Like, the
Hmm.
practical impact sucks. I hope that when Adami Party in Punjab takes a different approach and doesn't go crazy on these freebies and is pretty cognizant of like what the fuck ups that happen in Delhi when you do that. You got to think like 3 steps ahead when you do implement any like policy like that.
Hmm.
So I really hope they turn something
All right.
different. But
One thing you said
yeah,
that
it's
I had
fucked.
a question about. You said Bhagwant Mann is seen as like a puppet of Kejriwal. Did I say his name right?
Kejriwal.
Kejriwal. Why? Who is he, and why is that a bad thing?
Uh, so Kejriwal is the chief minister of Delhi. It's a union territory.
Chief.
Um,
Okay.
so
So
he's a premier of Delhi. Okay,
okay. Got
think of it
it.
that way. He's the premier of Delhi, but he's the one who started this party.
Mm-hmm.
So he started the party. He won in Delhi. After he won in Delhi, or in and around like he was about to win in Delhi, he other branches of AAP opened up in other states. Punjab is
Yeah.
one of them.
Gotcha.
Punjab is where it actually like took hold. In other states, they're nothing. They're a joke. But in Punjab, they're a vocal minority. So Gabriel focused a lot of time and energy on
Punjab.
Punjab, but his aspirations are federal.
Okay.
Okay, um, so what it's think of this: the fear is that a guy in Delhi will have that only cares about Delhi and his federal positioning of his party has a lot of say of what's going on in Punjab, and that probably won't align.
But is he a Sikh, Kejriwal, or no?
No, he's not.
Okay, so that's where the fear comes from. Is we have like a non-Sikh having a puppet government in
Non-Sikh,
Punjab,
non-Punjabi, right?
wanting to control the interests of Punjab. And
Yeah,
Punjab's always been
exactly.
interesting because the way Punjab has been divided and created throughout the years with like the Punjabi Suba movement and all that was to maximize the number of Punjabi seats and prevent like majority Hindu non-Punjabi kind of takeover of the province or state, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, imagine it this way, like tomorrow, something that's been a big problem in Punjab, Biad Guru Granth Sahib Ji, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's somebody of a sect that is very powerful, and Kejriwal needs him to back him. He'll be like, "Yeah, we'll let this slide." But one
Okay.
man can talk a big game or whatever. But like, if Puppet Master and Delhi's like, "Yo, fuck it, it's not good for our federal position," then
So this is where the fear
handcuff.
comes.
Like that's just a off the cuff example that I'm coming up with. Off the cuff. I don't know if this is what's out there, but like, just an example.
So one thing I read a lot about is some people were saying this is bad for Sikhi, and that's the reason you're saying it's bad for Sikhi, is you have someone who doesn't have interest or
Doesn't have. Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about. He doesn't have a personal investment in Punjab and the outcome of Punjab and the betterment of Punjab. His focus is how do I amplify this AAP win in Punjab and replicate it in other states.
okay. But one thing that I haven't really truly understood is Punjabis abroad seem to really like Admi Party's win for the most part. There's only been one person I've seen who's been like really heartbroken. Uh, a few people were sad. They're like, why didn't Simranjit Singh Man's Shiromani have a better showing? He had Deep Sidhu. He had, I think Lakha was with him.
I think so. I'm not sure
Uh,
actually.
but they're just like, why didn't Mon have a better showing this time around? But then I thought historically Mon hasn't had a showing at all. So is that really surprising at all?
I think the hope was with the. I mean, it might be morbid to say, but the Deep Sidhu bump, that people were expecting him to take some seats.
Mm-hmm.
um, and start building momentum that Admi Party did years ago, to now fucking have form government. But to be honest, it is sad that Simranjit Maan didn't get any showing. I'm not saying I'm a supporter of him or detractor, but I would have hoped for Deep Sidhu's sake that it would have made a difference. It doesn't look like it, man. It looks like it was people didn't give a fuck. It was just a clean sweep for AP.
Like from where I stand, like as a complete outsider to many degrees, 6 year hate Badal. They say Badal has ruined Punjab. They say Congress, I'm their captain, he's ruined Punjab. You eliminate those two parties, both those parties. I did a quick look before this. Since 1945, it's always been either Congress or Akali.
I think
You get rid of those two, and if you say both of them ruined Punjab, wouldn't you opt for whoever else is there? And that seems to be what Punjabis chose to do.
I think people, and this isn't my opinion, but I've seen this, and I think it's a fair point. I don't think people necessarily hate Badal. I think they're sick of the nepotism. I think they're sick of his or the family's expansive influence on spheres outside of the government, because they fucking own all the major businesses. They own SGPC,
Yeah.
and they've formed government for so long, that people are just generally sick of their influence. Just think it's just too much, and there's no check to their power, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. People don't necessarily hate him or think like they want something bad for Punjab. They might say it might have sucked Punjab dry, but like they're not
Like it's sucking
they're not
the
Hitler.
blood, right?
They're not Hitler. Yeah, they're not Hitler or something, right?
But I mean, another
And
thing
he
that
and
happened in this one is Musawala lost his run,
yeah.
and he was Congress, and he was getting chirped like crazy before. Like, yo, enu ki pata, like, who is he to even be standing in the election? Why is he running for Congress after doing all these Pantik songs? Kind of to doing that whole thing singers do, where they do a bunch of Pantik songs when they want to get like.
I'm gonna go out there and probably draw a lot of ire of people listening to us, but like, on him running for Congress, like, I don't have anything against Congress, a party. I know
Mhm.
they are the ones who fucked over Punjab back in the 80s and 90s. Um, but like, are we gonna hold parties accountable in Canada for what they used to vote on back in 1870?
Yeah,
Or
like it doesn't even cross our
like
mind
the
sometimes,
Conservative
right?
Party,
Yeah, I
right?
guess so. Yeah.
Like a party that one day once was, against females' right to choose, what to do with their body today is a huge booster of it, right? Like positions change, party policies change, but are we always gonna, slap them with the label of like, oh, this is an anti-abortion party? No, parties change. In the same vein, I'm gonna say, like Congress was pretty fucked up. What they did was fucked up, but they do represent like India's politics isn't left or right. It's left, right, and then it's in quadrants because they also represent caste as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a caste element. So BJP is like affluent, upper class. If I had to give them a quadrant, but they're also
I like how you
right
connected this with
wing,
your
and
heads.
they're right wing in a sense like they're very nationalistic and push like a Hindu agenda. Then you have Congress, which is work with lower caste. They're much more liberal in our Canadian sense of
Mm-hmm.
politics, but they don't have the same sway with the people with like big money. They do with like newspapers and shit like that, but not big money, right? So
Yeah.
their politics, their spectrum is fucking weird and very different to get your head around. But that being said, man, like if Sidhu found a place for himself in Congress, power to you, do it up, bring the youth movement. But fucking sucks that you got basted. I think he lost by big numbers.
Yeah, I heard he got smacked. And so he's probably going to go back, really snub him up. Not about it, but back to the studio to get his rep back up. Like, yo,
Make some money because these guys drop guap to get a seat,
yeah.
man. Like
Well,
a million bucks easy.
really? That's
Yeah,
what it
man.
comes down. I don't understand what the appeal for politics in general is sometimes. But I understand like politics gets you influence, which matters here and there. But $1 million?
Yeah, man. Some of these guys are paying like a million easy to fucking finance their elections.
Did he want to run? I thought they kind of someone just said, you should run. You're popular. You'll get votes. We need popular people. Or you think he sought it out?
Um,
I was under the impression that it was kind of he was sought out more than him seeking it out.
who knows, man? It takes two to tango. It takes two hands to clap. He might have always been interested in it, and someone piqued his curiosity. I mean, or like maybe that's why he was doing this career. He's like, "Yo, I'm getting affluence. I'm a voice now." Maybe some point along his career, he's like, "Fuck it, politics is for me," and he's the one who fucking had his people reach out, right? We don't know,
So
but it takes
he
two
got
hands to clap,
smacked.
man.
He got smacked.
Yeah, he got
That's
smacked
the end
today.
result.
One hand went across his face today. So
All
yeah,
right.
that's pretty bad.
Sticking with Punjab a little bit. I don't know if you saw this whole thing with there was an article written. I'm not sure.
Like, who?
It was written in Baz, which is kind of like a Panthic e-zine to some degrees. Punjabi e-zine. It was written by Shamsher Singh of the UK, who takes a very left Panthic stance sometimes. And his article was Shamsher Singh can Diljit Singh portray Shahid by Jaswant Singh Khalraa. For those who don't know, she's Jaswant Singh Khalraa. In the early 90s, that when Singhs were getting disappeared and picked up and killed, he was going out and documenting every case, going pin to pin, getting the names of all the kids who were killed, building this document of here are all the people that you killed. The numbers you're reporting aren't true. Here's the real numbers with real names, with their villages, with their parents. Like he was trying to document it more than what was being allowed to at that time. So in Sikh history, Jaswant Singh Khalraa is considered a hero because he tried to do the grunt work of what everyone knew to be true, but that the government was refuting and trying to do it kind of, I guess, taking a legal approach to try and counter the narrative. And he came to Canada, and when he came to Canada, it was celebrated. His speech is very popular, and he kind of became like this legend of bringing a real voice to the movement that was often dismissed as being very anecdotal. And then he was picked up and killed shortly after he came and spoke at the UN, because clearly India didn't want his research and work to come out. And it, for the most part, it has come out. Like stuff, whatever he was able to do, and I think other people picked up on it, did actually make its rounds and start getting presented. So it didn't really work in their favor. But this was India back in the day when they thought they could just bully the shit out of anyone and mute them, not realizing just how big a voice he had outside India. Anyways, some Bollywood, I'm guessing it's a Bollywood producer or someone, they approached the family, got the family to sign off, give rights to do a story about him and to do a movie or a biopic. And that has angered Not angry.
Yo,
It
it's
sounds
the word's fucking biopic, man. Come on.
biopic. I thought it's biopic. Is it really biopic?
I don't know. Let's fucking get people to weigh in. I'm pretty sure I got it right though.
All right. If you see this and you have an opinion, is it biopic or is it biopics? I think it's biopic. I think you're wrong, but
Yeah, it's like it's
anyways.
vitamin. Anyways,
Vitamin. Anyways, so this whole thing sparked controversy over Shamsher Singh posing the question. And I don't think Shamsher Singh was out of line to pose this question. A lot of people on Twitter, including members of Khalra's family, thought this was a little out of line, which was, should we allow Bollywood to produce a video on a Sikh Shaheed?
okay.
Okay, so
I gotta speak a mind on this, but go ahead, finish.
so yeah, that was the question posed. Very split responses down the middle on Twitter, which was interesting in itself, where some people were saying, it's better to get the story out there. This isn't going to hurt people from learning what happened and, promoting it. And just maybe even watching the movie and then going and reading up on it some more. And then the criticism or the fear that Shamsher Singh posed, which got a lot of support also, was, well, you're going to hand this narrative over to them. They're going to water the shit out of it. They're going to say, no, he was a human rights activist, not a Sikh activist. And they're going to kind of erase Khalistan and that kind of stuff out of the movie and kind of just focus on, make it a very humanistic, secular type story. And
Okay.
we shouldn't be endorsing these kind of stories. What we should be doing is writing really factual, hard-hitting pieces directly. And we as a bunch should control the narrative and not maybe even the family itself, was the general take. Where do you stand on it? Go ahead.
Fuck that. Okay. First of all, I'm gonna be open and honest. I have a bit of a soft spot for Boz, just because the founder's a nice guy or the founders are nice people. So they got a little bit of shade for giving a platform to this story, and I'm gonna shade gesture. I'm throwing shade at you a little bit too, my friends, because man, this story was wrong. Okay, and it's wrong on so many levels. First of all, there's something, who Jaswant Singh Khalraa is. I know who Jaswant Singh Khalraa is. I know what he's done. I've listened to his speeches. I've read about him. I admire what he's done as a lawyer. Fucking all lawyers are great.
That's where it kind of comes down.
That's what it comes down to. His story, first of all, I want to make the distinction. Correct me if I'm wrong. His story is not a Khalistan story. His story is about justice. His story is about bringing light to the atrocities that were going on in Punjab, and then were being whitewashed by a government magic wand. He brought them to light, and he brought down a lot of people because of what he's done. Ultimately, he paid for it with his life, but it's not a Khalistan story. So there's nothing
See,
to
that's where I think a lot of people get contentious, though. Because some people say you can't wipe out what he was doing and those human rights atrocities that he was fighting without acknowledging where he stood on Khalistan also, which apparently...
Listen, I mean, whatever his opinions was, he went out looking for what happened to these kids because he's trying to bring justice to or closure to these mothers. He wasn't laying the foundation or a cornerstone of a new nation. He's following Indian laws. He just worked the system. He didn't hand a gun. He wasn't, wearing a banner on his chest. He wasn't going to Pakistan and fucking setting up camp. He was working the system. He was doing a job of a lawyer and an investigative person, man. So in that sense, I disagree with, that aspect of his article. Can Bollywood portray it? Look, fine, Bollywood, has a bad track record of portraying our movement or what happened in Punjab. But man, I'll give Diljit some credit. Fuck, I talk shit about him all the time because my wife's a huge stan, and it makes me uncomfortable. But
So there is some bias here.
there is some bias. I fucking hate him. But what he did with 1984, that movie, fucking awesome. What he's done during the farmers' protest, okay,
All right, so
being
what
a
has he done? I
champion.
feel like it's worth...
Okay, so during farmers' protests, he's a huge icon in India. He's broken through Punjab, and now he's an Indian figure. Bollywood celebrates him. Mainstream media in India celebrates him. He's an icon there. He's a fashion icon. He's a music icon. He's a movie icon. Okay,
And he's also big in the West, apparently. He
he's
lives
huge in the West. Never, yeah. I think he's a San Francisco guy, right? Anyways, so when he says things, people pay attention. When he says things, it's not brushed under the rug. People outside of Punjab don't know who Jaswant Singh Khalraa is. Let me tell you that. I'll make a case in point. Our co-host Robbie a couple weeks ago was mentioning Jaswant Singh Khalraa. I didn't pick it up because he's talking about some guy who went to the UN and gave a speech and got killed. And I was wondering who the fuck did that, right? And only later did we learn he was talking about Jaswant Singh Khalraa. Like, that name is on the tip of my tongue all the time, but the facts are so off that I couldn't even think of who Robbie was talking about. Our people don't know about him. Nobody outside Punjab knows about it. I can guarantee you that. What Diljit has done, this movie will start a fucking conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This movie will have people thinking about what's been done in the government and maybe question what the government is doing, what the police powers are like, and maybe give some more chatter about what happened in Punjab in the 80s and 90s, because we're still working on lifting that reputation of being terrorists. No, we were fighting the right fight. I mean, going against the government for what they're doing is wrong is not being a terrorist, right? And we need to own that story, and we need to fucking put it out there and challenge like old biases and perspectives, and really, to be honest, fucking win over the rest of India too. Because as far as I know, Punjab is not annexing itself from the country any day. So man, kudos to Diljit, and kudos to the family, man. Fuck yeah, they can own their father's story. They can put it out. They're still fighting the good fight. If there was some family that like hid in China or in some other country not doing anything about it, then fine, fuck them. But they're actually good people. I know his daughter's pretty active in pushing her father's message forward. So fuck yeah, they can own their fight, or own their father's fight, own their father's right, own their father's story, work with whoever the fuck they want. And if some guy, some jabroni saying, yo, the bunts should dictate what goes out there and what movie gets out there, man, who is the punth? Who's gonna fucking outline shit? Putting that position out there means nothing's gonna come out. The only valid thing I've seen out there is maybe this movie should probably be a documentary first, produced by like some Netflix or somebody big out here in the West, which doesn't have the reach of India around their throat. But it's not a documentary if this is the first thing that's out there. Diljit, a huge artist, who's been fighting Kangana and the rest of Bollywood and challenging people in India to fucking support the farmers and showing our perspective on the grand scale, then kudos, man. Do your thing. I'll fucking watch a movie. My whole family will go out. If this is a movie first movie I watch after COVID in theaters, great.
One thing I'll say on this, you've kind of surmised a lot of my thoughts. I don't throw shade on the article being written because I think it created this conversation. Without it, I don't know if it would have created the same level of conversation around it.
Unnecessary conversation. It's not a conversation. Fucking unnecessary. But go on.
I don't know if it's unnecessary. I do think it brings to light certain things that I think we should be questioning. One, who should be able to tell our stories, who shouldn't. I think the family should be able to tell their family side of the story. They have a side in the story. If the Panth wants to tell their side of the story, represent it, by all means make a documentary on it. And if you want like a factual, make a documentary. People make documentaries all the time, right? And I do actually know that there was a Khalraa documentary being put together kind of before COVID hit. And I know when COVID hit, it really killed, I think, the production of that. And I think that documentary should come out. Put out a little doc. But here's the thing when it comes to documentaries. I'm more often going to watch a biopic or something a little bit more Hollywoodized. And I'll probably watch the documentary, maybe not. I don't know. If it shows up on my Netflix feed, I will. But like, documentaries hit a certain audience. Movies hit a different audience. And if that audience encourages enough people to maybe, not even enough, I don't say you're going to get a one-to-one transfer of people who watch this movie to go read a textbook on him, but some might. More than would had they just heard about a documentary. Because I think when you make a documentary, you're attracting a very, very niche audience to
Right.
begin with. Here, if you get a bit of a broader audience, you can funnel them into that niche category. So on that thing, I think, I'm all for the movie, to be honest. And I think a lot of times, way too many times, we hurt ourselves by over censoring what we want shown, that nothing comes out. I remember for the longest time, people are like, we need a Bandhar Singh Bahadur movie. We need a Hollywood level Bandhar Singh Bahadur movie. It should be one of the greatest, but it'll be bigger than 300. It'll be bigger than Gladiator. It'll be better than Braveheart. It'll be this epic thing. Imagine had we, like, why has that not happened? Right? It's because we as a community, one, can't agree on what parts we want to share on that story. Two, we would burn down theaters if there was any sort of like romantic element to that movie. Right? Any sort of depiction that people didn't agree with. And that's why people are afraid to make that movie, to be honest. Let's be real. If you know that you could risk spending a lot of money and then that movie doesn't even get aired and you have zero chance of making your money back because you've upset people or an upset at home, then you're like, well, maybe we should be more careful of what we write. But then you're just like, I'm just constantly jumping through hurdles to try to get something done. The family says the family has complete sign off and write off and like final say on what goes into the movie. If it's good for them, man, it's good for me, is where I'm kind of coming at. Because otherwise we don't get these projects to come out. And maybe it's, fair that some of these don't come out because you're like, look, man, I don't want some friggin' into producer want to make a crazy epic on a concept he doesn't even understand. And I'm also this thing where sometimes just listening to Kata for me, like the audiobook version of some of these things is great, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, to your point, man. To your point, though, like, yeah, biopics, they are what they are. They're easy to digest the story, right? Rather than a documentary. And you're going to hit a wider audience. So in that sense, it's great. And fuck, I hope this plays in every theater in India. And it's not a thing where, like, India bans it, right? And having Diljit in the movie will probably tip the scales into making sure it's spread out
Even if
pretty
it doesn't
wide.
get played in the theaters, I think it gets pirated if Diljit's as big of a star, where people are like, well, they banned it. In this era,
exactly.
they're going to download the torrents and someone's might take a financial hit, but it'll be huge here. I think if it goes here, we're going to get Jakarta at theater type movies.
For sure. There was Jakarta in 1984. I remember I was watching the movie. My entire family's crying. I saw four young Singhs sitting next to my family. They're all crying. People giving Jakarta as they're walking out. But yet, we have articles like this saying Diljit shouldn't make a movie. And actually, one point I want to make that I fucking glossed over or didn't skip. Shanda, I'm gonna accuse you of being in this echo chamber bubble of like having a lot of Bantik voices around you and not so much Punjabi.
Fair enough.
Punjabi people's take on 1984 is much more similar to what was portrayed in Diljit's movie than like what the Pant thinks of. Like, everybody thought that Kharkus were heroes and the fight against the government was a noble fight. Man, a lot of Punjabis will be like, yo, I mean, juak marte.
I hear that all the time.
Right? Like, so that's a very Punjabi take on this. That was such a fucking needless conflict, which, if I'm going to be completely, 10,000 feet, that's a fair point for someone to make. So in this sense, if this Khalraa movie doesn't take a hard Bantik stand, but goes more along with the Punjabi understanding of, this guy was just a good lawyer who uncovered the injustice that was going on these mothers, on these families. They didn't know what happened to their kids and what the government did to like silence them and like hide what they did, and is not made about Khalistan or the separation movement or what Indira Gandhi did and fucking Rahul Gandhi and all the Gandhis and Gandhus that like came from that family.
Look, I'm gonna correct you on
Who cares?
One thing I want to kind of put out there is I feel like I do get that Punjabi voice because I like to pride myself on not getting too stuck in any bubble, like NDP conservative. I kind of try to be friends with everybody. I try not to get overheated or overzealous when I talk to different groups because I'm like, look, emotions kill debate to a degree. So yeah, I've heard that side of 84, like, and I've heard that side of Sanjay Nal saying I am he wasn't, but like I hear all the derogatory stuff come in. And then I kind of pick and choose which side I want to kind of go with. In my mind, when it comes to stuff like that, I do have a bit of a bubble that I do acknowledge that I'm in. But at the same time, I hear the other stuff, but sometimes I feel like that also comes from a place of ignorance too.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when people aren't fully brought into like, yo, why did the Singhs have to pick up like arms? What was happening in the 70s that made people like, these guys were 100% peaceful in the 70s. They were quietly telling you, hey, we don't like what you guys are doing. You guys promised us this, you're not really acting the way you said you'd be acting. We're feeling a little like second-class citizens here. And then they got louder and louder, and then they start getting killed. And like, hold up, y'all ain't really with us. So when I see that, I'm like, you guys aren't acknowledging some of these truths. You see what happened in the 90s, but you're kind of glossing over what happened in the 70s, right? So then I kind of pick and choose where I stand on these things. So it's not that I'm too confined in the bubble that I don't hear what's going on outside. I just sometimes think the voices on the outside don't give enough back history to where they form these opinions. They take a very myopic, this is what happened in 84. We don't like that this is the result of it. But I'm like, what happened to the 20, 30 years before that you have to consider that bred up to what happened in 80s and the 90s, for sure. Right? So
all right,
I just want to put that.
Fair enough, man. I'll walk that back. But before we go to the next topic, I'm just going to give you, I'm going to put a question to you. I don't want an explanation, just a yes or no.
That's a very political gun to your head. Say yes or no.
Yeah, it's the fucking gun to your head.
I'm already thinking of how I'm going to get out of this.
Throw them to your dome.
All right.
Would you be okay, yes or no, with the movie of Bandhar Singh Bahadur, Hollywood, Bollywoodized, where he does have a love interest? Do you watch it, yes or no?
Watch it, yes.
Are you pro for it?
I don't know how they depict the story. Like, Bandhar Singh Bahadur is a really interesting character himself, right? And even within Sikh, some people are like, oh,
fucking politician.
Right? I mean, you can't ask me would I support
yes
a movie
and yes.
Yes and yes.
It's a simple yes and yes. Who
cares? Man. If it's a garbage ass movie, I'm not gonna go. And someone tells me it's a garbage ass movie, then I'll just be like, yo, it's a garbage ass movie.
The only person or only group of people, can I say people? The only group of people that I think are barred from having movies about are the gurus families, sants, shaheeds, fair game.
Yes, so that's like I wouldn't be down with a Sanjay Nelson movie either.
I'd be okay with that.
In 30 years, I'd be so anti Sanjay Nelson movie. Here's where it goes. When people say Deep Sidhu reminds them of Sanjay Nelson, I have like hair stand up on the back of my head. I'm like, what do you know about Sanjay Nelson if that's your comparison? When I don't know, maybe it's just because I idolize people in different degrees.
Yeah, but like have like the fucking Denzel Washington of Punjabi cinema play him, or like someone was like, yeah, that guy's badass. Like, all right, sick. No. He'll do the role justice.
So where I come across with this stuff is I'm not attending the protest to burn down the theaters or to burn down production.
Fuck that.
But I'm also not in the seats watching it. And I did this with a few other movies where I'm like, look, this story means too much to me for me to see your interpretation of it. It's not that I think my voice on the story is the only one. I don't want to feel a different way just because you're kind of, I don't know. There's a certain thing about
I'd be okay with a movie about Santa, so I don't know.
I think if they want to do epics, they should. I want them. I'm not like I want to see an epic 300 type Sikh movie. I don't know if it needs to be nonfiction. I think they could do something fictional based on true events.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
I think you do something based on true events, and that way you kind of sidestep that controversy of, well, this person wouldn't have. You're like, well, this is a completely imaginary character that we're imagining in a time where similar things were happening, and I think that's how you work around it. And you do that. You make a completely sidestepped thing based on true events with new characters, not our fictional characters. I'll be like, look, it's fictional. I'm down.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need to like take that fucking pussy ass approach, man. Janda Singh Bahadur, not Bandhar Singh. Like, fuck that, man. Come on, make a movie about him. Who cares? Let's get the show on the road.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'm just gonna. I don't know if I agree or disagree, but I'll agree that I'm right, you're wrong. All right, we got to go into the Ukraine war because it's still going on. The Ukraine-Russia war.
Yeah,
There's hard. I don't want to say there isn't more to talk about because it always seems like, oh, well, the war is still going on. Where do we think? I think last week I was kind of like, the Nazis and stuff, and it makes me give a different light to consider. But at the same time, when Russia's bombing these friggin' maternity hospitals and kids and stuff, I'm like, and then I'm watching these video clips of like Russian soldiers looting stores and calling their wives and saying, "I got you this shit." Oh yeah, any resistance? Yeah, there were a few people there. We just killed them. Fuck them. Then I'm like, yeah, you guys are kind of shitbags, right?
yeah. Like
But
what? What
then
we?
that's war, right? Is
Yeah.
that just what we accept? But then I found then the Chelsea thing happens where the Russian billionaire's team gets suspended and taken away from him. And I'm not so much against like the sanction of or the team being taken away from him. It's a $3 billion team. I'd be pissed if I lost $3 billion. Or what's the story? Go ahead, fill me in.
Well, I'll touch on the Chelsea thing in a sec. First of all, 3 weeks of this war, it's pretty fucked. Um, now whole cities are surrounded. There's a legit humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. So, whatever you feel about Ukrainians, the government's kind of racist, whatnot, whatever it is. It sucks what's going on in that country. Nobody deserves that, especially children and families. So that's fucked. And whoever said that this is all part of Putin's plan, man, he did not expect the war to go 3 weeks. He's taking a bloody nose, and these sanctions are helping him. And these sanctions, they're looking to nationalize like Apple and Microsoft and all that shit. Shows kind of how stupid and wacky they are and how desperate they are. But this Chelsea thing, fucking hilarious. First of all, fuck Chelsea and Chelsea fans.
Mr.
Every
Arsenal
single
over
one of
here,
you.
right?
Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. So what?
What is that? You're a gooner?
Yeah, I'm a gooner.
What
So
a
represent.
fucking goons.
But fuck Chelsea. You're in third place right now. It's a tight race, and what's happening with your owner sucks. Well, I don't give a fuck because you guys are generally a racist fan base, but
I like how you try to do that so that it'll sway people to hate them even more.
well, yeah, there's already a good reason to hate them, and now that their owner is getting caught in sanctions, he's like a Russian Israeli guy, comes from old money, bought this team. He was trying to play the good guy, like I'm gonna mediate some sort of truce with Putin. Fuck, Putin doesn't listen to him. For years, he's been distancing himself from Putin because he knew a day like this would come where he might lose his team. So what does he do first? He tries to say, "Oh, a trustee of mine will run the team." Well, come on, it doesn't even take a person with a law degree to figure out essentially you still have control of the team.
So this
and
is
you're
kind of
still gonna profit.
this is kind of like what you were saying at the start of the podcast, where it's kind of like, look, can I put this team under my wife's name? After the
Yeah,
losses
exactly.
started.
It's
Okay.
technically not me, right?
Okay.
So that's bullshit. So fine. Then he comes back and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna sell the team. Okay, my charitable organization aren't gonna be the trustees of it anymore. I'm gonna sell it. This is like a week ago. He's trying, and people are starting to come out saying, I might bid on it. I might bid on it, and then boom, sanctions. Some of these sanctions suck, dude. Some of the big ones, and people don't zero home in on this right away, but their away spending is capped at £20,000. Okay.
So here's what I see. I see further ticket sales to home and away fans are prohibited.
Yep. So
Season tickets are still good. So you can't sell tickets to
Oh,
games.
only tickets that are already sold, or season ticket holders can come to games. They can't sell any new tickets. Away fans can't buy tickets and go to the games either. So they're missing out on revenue. They can't sell any of their merchandise. So yeah, that's there too. Transfers and contract renewals, like that's huge as far as staying competitive for next year, and players signing on that are that have expiring contracts. That sucks. But then think of this, and think of like we're making fun of Phoenix Coyotes a couple of weeks ago about how shit their organization is and what their players are going to go through. That's what's going to happen with Chelsea. £20,000. That's not enough to cover private round trip flight within the UK. Okay, already like fine. They bust it to most places anyways, but those lavish hotel stays gone. Champions League, where likely the competition will be in like another European country. How the fuck are they going to get there? And once they do, how are they going to feed their players? How are they going to house their players? Like, this is a huge fucking nightmare for these guys. Okay. Their catering budget for home games is capped at 500K. So I saw a breakdown
Hold
in
on, so they're not
numbers.
allowed feeding their players? Is that what you're getting
No,
at?
no, no, no. They're the fans in the stands.
Fans in the
They can
stands, all
only
right? Nice little...
they can only have 500K worth of food and drink that they can sell.
just enough
Okay.
to, like, feed these guys.
Yeah, exactly. So they broke down just the number of season ticket holders.
Yeah.
And this was, I think it was in The Athletic. And The Athletic, so, I'm going to say they're kind of reliable. They said that breaks down to 17 pounds per season ticket holder. Okay, so
Okay.
all season ticket holders, there's about 17 bucks of food and drink for them there.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
all.
doesn't account for fucking the corporate sponsors that have boxes and expect fucking spreads and open bar and shit like that. So they already lost their jersey sponsor as well. They're losing hemorrhaging crazy money. If I'm a fucking player and I'm asked to fucking pay for my own hotel, or like, yo, we're getting Airbnbs for our next road trip.
Yeah.
Yo, fuck this. I'm calling my agents. Get me the fuck out of here. Or, yo, are they even gonna be paying my wages in a month or so from now? Like, what the fuck?
Can they
I'm not
afford me
playing here.
still?
Exactly. So this is a nightmare scenario. This is a nightmare scenario for Chelsea.
So they're basically a repo auction at this point, aren't they?
I don't know, man. Like, he's allowed to sell the club. From my understanding, he's allowed to sell the club, but he can't make a profit from the sale.
But it seems like if he sells the club, all revenue goes to the government or UK.
I don't know how they're gonna navigate that, but they're gonna make sure that he can't benefit is what they're trying to hammer home. The club can be sold. They'll issue a license for the sale, as long as they can make sure that he, the designated person, doesn't get a benefit from the sale.
But does he get his money back? Like what he paid for the team?
Yeah, I'm assuming like he might just
And they can take
Call-
whatever
call
the
a
profit
push.
is.
and the
Like-
proceeds go somewhere else. I don't know, but like
Like,
fuck.
didn't he himself
this-
say he's willing to sell at cost and give proceeds to some charities or whatever?
Yeah, as long as you pay back the loans, and those loans are from him, 1.5 billion. So fine, give me my 1.5 billion loan, and then sell the club at cost. Jerk off.
I mean, that seems fair, no?
yeah.
Well,
Loans.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about this that really struck me, which is the fact that a government can come in and is it ethical for governments to be able to just repossess shit like that? And I know Russia's doing it the same way, right? Russia's now coming out and they're saying we're going to take over Apple or any company that leaves Russia. We're keeping your shit.
Yeah, I mean, fine, keep it. But like, what the fuck are you doing? The stock supply runs out. Like, what a stupid short-sighted move. I don't understand. It's just a matter of.
So you got, like, Russian Starbucks
they're
or
in
whatever?
charge. Yeah,
But-
I guess they're in charge.
I remember them saying like we have copies of Twitter on Russian servers. So if Twitter were to get out of Russia, we're gonna.
Yo. On this point, like of Russia showing that they're strong, I'm just gonna
Like,
go
you see
off the
this, right?
fucking.
It's like
Yeah,
Netflix.
I saw this.
To leave Russia after defying order to carry state-run channels where Russia's like, you got to carry our shows. And Netflix like, you know what? Peace. We're done.
I'm gonna go off script for a sec, and script I mean just a fucking outline. But I listened to this podcast this week with Trump on with the Nelk Boys,
Yeah.
and the Nelk Boys were just trying to get him to talk about Russia and Putin, Trump's view on it. Trump kept on going about how the election was rigged. He kept on finding a way to redirect it to that. But he had some interesting fucking points.
All right. What do you say?
And I'll put it to this. I'll put this to you. He's like, Biden's too soft. Okay.
Okay.
Biden, you got Putin on one side saying, I'm a fucking nuclear country. Countries better fucking remember that, right? When they're sanctioning us or doing anything against us, like he's taking a strong, firm approach. Biden is coming off as passive, like, okay, like we're not gonna do a no-fly zone because that might ruffle feathers. Fuck you. You should be like, yeah, well, America's a fucking nuclear power too, and we have a better air force and we can fucking shoot you out of the sky sitting here in USA. So be nice, play nice, fight nice, and we won't jump in. But if you fight wrong, then we will. Like, show your stick, right? So. To fair point to fucking Trump. And, like we made a point a couple of weeks ago about how what Putin's doing is making all these other European countries run to NATO, which might be the opposite effect. Well, with all of the West uniting against Russia, like Russia's now in bed with China. And that never was the case before because they were shared a border and they're kind of rivals on certain things. But now they're fucking getting back to like they're like this tight. They're
Are
getting
they just
closer and
still?
closer.
I know they're getting close, but at the same time, China's also using
China's
this.
investing. China's investing crazy in Russia. They're buying out fucking things because they're getting it like cents on the dollar now.
Because I know China
Everybody's
says
everybody's
we can fill in
everybody's
the
pulled out.
voids. Yeah,
Everybody's pulled out, right? So China can step in.
but
So
isn't that making Russia China's bitch? China sensed a moment of weakness in Russia and said, "This is our way to flex a little bit
Ye-
and like put them under
yeah, but
our."
like you know,
Because where everything like Visa, Mastercard, and stuff were all Western companies, and the Western banking kind of had a control over some of Russia's going ons. China's now
right,
saying, "Well, now that they're out, we got the system that works, and we're going to come in and we're going to keep it working for your citizens. So you're going to be
right, but
our."
what's been the narrative for like I want to say the last 15 to 20 years that China's an outsider, China goes against the grain of the West,
Yeah,
and so is Russia. So we have two large countries, large economic, powerhouses that were not friends before, have similar aligned similar on politics, similarly on politics, and now due to this conflict and being ostracized by the rest of the world, are being pushed, collided together. You have other countries like Germany fucking beefing up their military and rearming like something like Germany has a bad track record when they have an army,
yeah.
in Europe. But like it's such a weird fluid situation and
But to China,
I
China's thing, China has been kind of cozy up to the West to a degree. They want to be a
with what?
Western
With
nation,
what? Like with fucking, imprisoning
or
Canadian diplomats and
but that's
business
also
people
after that's
and fucking
a
with the USA over the
but
Huawei
a lot of
thing.
that stuff's tit for tat, right? Where U.S. does something and China's like, well, we're not gonna shy away from doing it back to you. And usually these things get resolved when the U.S. is like, okay, we're gonna end our cases against your people, give us our people back, type thing.
Yeah, but the
It,
US has sanctions on Chinese trade, and China has done the same thing right now. So I don't know. I don't think they're that close, and I think they are kind of drifting apart.
and I don't know. For me, I saw this great GIF. I should find that GIF and share it here. But it was a Royal Rumble. Like you had WWE SmackDown on one side, Monday Night Raw on the other side. The two champions in the middle. People put their names on like, oh, this is India, this is China. China. It was like U.S., Russia, Ukraine, and all of a sudden U.S. comes in and then China comes in, but then Russia accidentally punches China,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then you got a war, and then India comes in, he jumps on someone, and then Pakistan comes out of nowhere and smacks like gets in a fight with India, and then all of a sudden all these guys who seem to be on a black and polarized left and right side of this whole conflict, all of a sudden they're beefing with each other because of like I don't think China wants Russia to be bombing maternity hospitals. They kind of also want to hold a narrative of look, you need to do this within the Nazi thing, but the fact that you still haven't and now you're targeting civilians, we don't like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I hear you, man.
We need. I feel like China still cares about what the West thinks about it.
To a degree, but I think they're watching and taking notes what's happening in Russia. But yo, I mean, I'm gonna go back to what I started with. Like, Trump was actually raising some legit points, and these are some of them, man. I was like, yo, this is not so far out of the box. I can't
I
believe
think
this is the day has
sided with
come where I'm
Trump.
boosting him. But yeah, he's not so out to lunch.
I feel like Trump's whole thing is we got to be Monday about this. We got to let them know that we got a military too.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if Trump was doing it though, we'd be like, why is Trump warmongering? Like, there's a legit consequence to saying some of these things, and I think that's where Biden's and maybe most sane presidents would be a little bit more concerned of. Look, they do have nukes. We have nukes. They have nukes. But the end games of nukes in the air is civilians dead. Right?
Right.
You're not hurting militaries with it. You're hurting civilians more than not. So at the same time, you don't want Trump agitating and like chest out to a guy who could nuke
But
you, even if
uh,
you could nuke him back. Like, what's the
uh,
end game there?
I was listening to the the ex Finland PM actually talking recently on a podcast, and he's like, "Yo, in what 2008, Russia took Georgia.
Yeah,
The West looked weak because they did fuck all. Then in 2014, Russia took Crimea, and other than like some mild sanctions, the West did fuck all. The West has been looking weak for so long. Now they look strong on the sanction front, but like they're still not able to deter Russia from doing anything militarily. Like the West does look weak. I think the West looks fucking incredibly weak, especially when they look so inept, saying that we're not going to more openly support Ukraine militarily. That Poland, airplane thing where they're gonna donate the planes to fucking Ukraine and the US would resupply them. Like, there's so many examples, man. I'm ranting a little bit, but there's so many examples of militarily how the West looks a little weaker than they could. They could look stronger. There's
All right, so we're
room for
talking about
them
people
to
looking
look
weak. One person I want to say who's still maintaining to look strong, and maybe this is just out of sheer production quality, is Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. This guy did a video, posted on Twitter, because people kept saying he's hiding, and so he did an iPhone video of him walking in his office, showing the city being bombed, and just kind of doing like a walkthrough back, and sitting at his desk, and then all of a sudden it's like a perfect cut to the presidential capture of him sitting at this desk. And I think what he was trying to say is, I'm not shooting these videos from America in Hollywood with a green screen. I'm out here. And maybe it could have been a green screen, like that stuff, whatever. But he's, I think, captured a lot of imagination with what a leader should look like when it comes to this shit. And the fact that in that video, he's like, Ukrainians are here to fight. We're not here to bend over. And he even threw Russia some olive branches saying, listen, we know what you've done. Let's talk about these two, I guess they're regions in Ukraine that Russia's contested, where they have rebels and stuff. They're like, I'm open to talking about what we should do about those. But just know that Ukrainian men and Ukrainian women are here to fight, and Ukraine's not bending, not taking a knee just yet. I thought that was dope as hell, and I think he's coming across as like one of the most epic leaders of our time.
So I'm gonna twirl my hat to the Jatju Zelensky. I mean, fuck, badass, you nailed it. What he's done is also obviously set a benchmark for future leaders, because quite often what these guys do, like Afghanistan, the fucking guy just
Runs away,
and he's in exile.
I remember
That's the norm. That's the norm.
I remember one of the quotes was the U.S. called him, or was it Canada who called him, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, we can get you out of there."
The U.S., yeah.
And he's like, "No, what I need you to do is send me more bullets."
Yeah, send me ammunition.
I feel like that's gonna be one of those epic moment tweets. But at the same time, man, it's not about these captures. If the U.S. wants to like nut up, get in there with him now. These guys are legit letting their boy get brucked the fuck up and trying to like find ways not to get involved. It's like two crews standing around, and their dude's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, let them one-on-one it. Let them one-on-one it. And they're like picking their guy up every time he gets knocked down. Yo, we got you. Stand up.
At a certain point, the cousin's got to jump in.
At some point. And I think, and we know they're going to jump in. I know they're going to jump in. I think you should know that they're going to jump in. I think they're wasting their time letting civilians get battered by trying to wait this out. So I think they're still hoping that Russia's just like, the cities are fucking surrounded. Every day they make like, 100 meters in, 200 meters. They keep getting closer and closer. Stop wasting your time. Nut up. Get in that fight.
Yeah, Hundo. They got to find a way to be more active, man.
I'm not down with this. I'm really not down with this. He's our boy. We support him. Stop fucking with him. But hey, man, our hands are tied.
It's either this is not us. This is a Russia-Ukraine thing. But like, you can't fucking go on and say, "Oh, we support them. They're a democracy. We support all democracies." We pray for fucking fuck you. Don't pray for fucking Ukraine. If you're gonna do all that, fucking go in, or just say, "Yo, it's between them. And it's not our problem."
Like really,
it's one or the other.
They're waiting for an in. Like they have this rule book of reasons they can intervene, and they're like, "Well, Russia technically hasn't broken one of these reasons. They haven't." I think they're saying biochemical might be a reason for them to get in, but they didn't do that in Syria, so they're like, well, maybe they don't. I don't know. In my mind, they're waiting too long and they're playing by the rule book. And when it comes to these things, these rule books, they got to be a little bit more flexible.
It's about
Maybe.
time the CIA plants in Ukraine, set up a fake gas attack by
But
Russia.
that
Give
whole,
everybody an excuse.
so going down this narrative. So I was doing this mental exercise of, yes, I want Western countries. I kind of want NATO to nut up and stand up for their boy, or I want them to be honest and say, listen, we're cool. This is a one-on-one thing. We ain't getting involved until these things happen. But in my mind, I'm like, look, man, if they're your boy, shut the fuck up, get in there. And if they're not your boy, stop with the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, Canada enters this fight. Russia's like, fuck you guys. Nukes in the sky. They're coming down. They probably aim for Toronto, low key. You aim for the big cities, right?
Yeah,
And if you're going
not
after
Brampton.
Canada, I mean, but Brampton, are we in the radius of most nukes?
I heard now, like the more modern nukes are so fucking pinpoint that you can have huge ones. So I'm sure the bigger ones, yeah, they could probably like cause damage 30, 40 kilometers radius, which is us.
Like they're going for
Um,
Ottawa for sure. Do they just go for the capital to prove their point, or do they go for
I
like
think I think most
Petawawa, go
people
after
just
military bases? Like
they'll
where do
just
they attack?
assume
Like
that Toronto's the capital.
like Brampton's such a fucking sleeper community of just straight civilians. There's no military thing here. But then I'm like, yo, man, if they go to war, we're kind of fucked. We're not like rural 5-hour drive. This is when I take my family, like brothers.
They're gonna control the 401.
This is when I call my brother up and be like, listen, you got a room in Kenora? Because I don't know where the fuck Kenora is. Ain't
You know
no one
what?
fucking bombing Kenora.
I would love for a military expert to kind of give a breakdown that if someone were to take Toronto from, I guess, the north or the west or the south, how they would do it. I'm so curious
So what the strategy of like conquering
what
the
the
GTA?
strategy would be. Yeah. Look at the terrain, look at the roads, look at the
All right.
resources, and like how you
So
do
that's
it.
an open invite then. If we know someone or if someone was
Be sick.
listening,
Yo, fucking number one war correspondent on Twitter, Jeet Sidhu.
jump in.
Yeah, jump in, fucking
Oh man,
give
I
us a
have no idea.
breakdown.
I'd be so. See, now that I said, yo, I'd book it straight to Kenora. At the same time, I'd be like, yo, fuck, maybe we should stand and fight too, no? But how the fuck do you fight a
Yeah.
nuke? Like, what the fuck do I'm standing here with a friggin' with a
Let me put-
cardboard
let me put
shield.
this scenario
Like,
to
how
you.
do I even fuck with nukes?
An army.
Hold on, say that again. You cut out.
er-
You're cutting out, sir. Hold on, hold up, bro. Your internet connection just died. Roger just said, "Fuck you" and your strategy.
No.
Hold on, you're just circling. Give you a second. All right, you're back.
Sick.
Go.
All right. So hypo,
Hmm.
Russia's attacking Canada,
Yes.
but they attack from Nunavut in the Arctic.
Okay.
Are you signing up to go fight up there? Are you gonna wait till they get a little more south?
I think I'm waiting to come a little bit more south.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you got a lot of land here. You guys can deal with the fucking polar bears for a minute.
Still, yeah. I'll wait till you hit like Winnipeg.
Wow, you're waiting real south, eh?
Yeah, bro.
I'm like, all right, yeah. I ain't fucking going up the territories to fucking fight Russia, man. Let them come down here. It's too cold up there, man. What the fuck am I gonna
And
do?
there's like
Fighting?
not that many people up there, anyways.
It's like, yeah, there's not really that much of casualty that I could expect there. It's just a straight. They're gonna run out of gas. Look, they ran out of gas going into Ukraine. They ain't fucking coming down here, man. That's not. They ain't paying what, $2 a liter, $2.20 a liter.
Hell yeah.
They ain't paying that shit, man. They're out. They're gonna see the gas prices at Esso and be like, yo, we filling up here. Move
No,
on.
but tell the people about fucking the real battle that's brewing in Canada.
The real battle that's brewing in Canada. So the CPC election, we've been talking about it last little while. It's starting to get a little more heated. Brown said he's gonna enter officially. Not officially. He's gonna officially tell us that he's entering on Sunday. We've got a few more names in there. There was an interesting poll that came out though. Let's see if I can get that poll up here.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm gonna share this poll with you guys real quick. Check this poll out. This poll asked a bunch of decided voters, 1,338 decided voters. People in Quebec, obviously. We're only showing the Bloc Québécois, not the rest of the Canadian people being polled. And they said, who would you vote for here? If Peter MacKay was the leader of the Conservative Party, who would you vote for? LPC won 33-30. That's really close poll-wise. That means the poll doesn't know what the fuck. It could go either way. That's too tight to call. Pierre Poilievre, 34-30. Still really close in my opinion. Jean Charest, we're starting to see a bit of a split. Jean Charest, I guess a lot of new people don't know who he is. Old conservative head from Brian Mulroney times, I want to think.
Yeah.
He's from that era, the Chrétien, Paul Martin, conservative times. Pre-Harper type big conservative. Patrick Brown, our boy, getting murked.
Yeah, it's
Ain't
fucking
no
bad.
one fucking with Patrick Brown. 37-30. And I mean, look, polls this early in these kind of polls mean diddly squat overall, and a lot of times they're being released to really push a narrative sometimes or thing. But at the same time, they're interesting thoughts that is Brown really this hated? Or this unknown?
I think it's just the unknown factor. I think if he runs, he gets a couple of PR, articles out there. He's an easy guy for him to, show, hey, I'm one of the younger leaders. I can speak. I'm still with it. I'm a centrist. I think that'll speak to a lot of people. And I think it'll fuck Pierre a little bit, man. I think he gives Pierre a lot of competition. Peter, I mean, it's great to see him in the poll, but I don't see him running anytime soon, realistically. So, I'm gonna disregard that. So I'm looking at 4 names, to be honest, man. Out of these 4 names, Patrick stands out the most to me, and I'm kind of wondering what would happen if Roman Baber was in this poll. And the reason why I say that is right now, like the social cons will vote for Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
But if Roman runs, well, that
Well,
detracts.
he's in there. Roman said he's in there, so
Yeah, so okay, so when Roman runs, like that must fuck over Pierre a lot because the so-called which were in his tent right now, well, they don't need to be in his tent anymore.
they got Roman is their number. And the thing that differentiates Roman and Pierre is Roman was day one anti-COVID. He was like, fuck
Exactly.
these rules. And he can say, I was so anti-rules that I got kicked out of my party for it.
Hundo.
I've been sitting independent since, and I'm a true conservative, but they kicked me out because I said, I spoke out against COVID and the COVID policies and stuff. So Pierre, he's dope, he's cute, but he ain't about that life. I'm about that life. Pick me. So I do think Pierre and Barber kind of steal each other's thunder. Brown and Charest, they kind of fuck with each other though, so they kind of go after that, like
More center leading, yeah, exactly.
Right, and then then it's really which side has more of a say, and I think Pierre doesn't. Who wins against Trudeau is going to be the real question that these guys present to their parties during right? Obviously, they got to make whoever makes more members. Brown promises GTA, says I'll bring you guys the GTA in Ontario. Charest says fuck you, I bring Quebec.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting though: is Quebec was they were at the heart of the convoy. Like if you look at money donated and the Liberal MPs in Quebec kind of doing press conferences saying we ain't fucking with our party on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Can a centrist Frenchie do it?
No, I don't think so, and that's where I'm going to tip my hat to boy Patty, because if you can deliver the fucking 905, then everything else is achievable.
And I think Brown can make good on the 905. Like it's not an empty promise of I think I can. Nah, he proved he became mayor of his friggin' left town, was a leader going into this election before the whole CTV scandal that came out, and then CTV eventually had to apologize, saying, "Yeah, we fucked that up good."
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I'm biased too because I kind of like what kind of everyone's like, wait till he runs and all the shit starts coming out about what he was doing in the city. I don't know what he did in the city that has everyone up in arms or saying just wait. I think the response from everyone in the city is, "Yo, Brown held it down."
No, I think in the city there's a lot of scandal about him hiring his boys and putting them in nice positions and giving lucrative contracts out to people he knows. Stuff that's always been happening, but apparently it's more pronounced with Brown.
But here's where I differ is Jaffrey did so little of anything when it came to this stuff where she really was like, I'm gonna play by the books. Then nothing was getting done because everyone's like, look, to get anything done with the city, we need someone who's willing to kick the tires and push the bureaucrats, because the bureaucrats just want to sit up in their ass, was the general consensus. And I think people who have sway and influence appreciate that Brown was willing to help them, not bypass things maybe, but kick the tires a little bit more than Jaffrey was.
Yeah, make moves for sure, man. I mean, look, Linda Jeffries will always be, in my mind, the one who couldn't win over the LRT project as it was intended to in Brampton.
Whereas Brown kind of has a...
It was on her watch. Where if Brown was there, I think he would have fucking rammed it down someone's throat. Whoever was like against it going all the way to City Hall. So in that sense, you know what? Like his method might not be right, but it works. And it was working. I mean, I think the city was on a good track record or good trajectory these last few years.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. The West is where it's going to come down to, because I know Pierre's campaigning heavy in the West right now to gain members. And here's a little thing. If you're interested in how politics really works, if you want to be in any politician's camp per se, or you want to have sway in the influence of the direction that the country goes, you got to get in at the ground floor when this party is dog water right now. Like this party right now is floundering, trying to find a face. You got to find a candidate. And you got to deliver them 200, 150, 200 members. If you can help them now before they're leader and they become leader and you brought them 200 members, that's a voice at the table that you have when they get in power. This is where power brokers are made. So if you're
made or broken.
Made or broken, for sure. If you're overly with one person and they get smacked and you're not able, here's the thing. If your guy gets smacked, this is the beauty of politics. If you make 200 members for a guy and he gets smacked, you get one olive branch from the guy who smacked him saying, are you on my side? And that's when you got to choose carefully, because that's your lifetime party alliance, right? So I've known people on both sides of guys who got smacked and they stayed with the guy who got smacked. And that guy never was able to recover. And all of a sudden, this person has zero. You're not able to all of a sudden come back to, the power king, the king, right?
You no longer have a seat at the table.
Yeah, you're never going to get that seat at the table. Politicians, even when I got Justin Trudeau, remember every single person he approached for members when he was running for leadership that said no. He remembers that. All leaders remember who wasn't there for them at the start. They do remember who was there at the start, and they give them a seat. I know people are like, well, they're only given a seat to a certain degree. But if you want to get into politics, this is the time you do it. This is when you prove your worth by, can you deliver 200 members? Can you deliver 300 members? And you do that and help one of these guys become leader of their parties. And you got to choose carefully. You pick the wrong camp to go and you're fucking yourself up. But this is when it's done. So this is why this is one of my favorite times in politics, is the early game, because this is when we really see who the next generation of power brokers is made.
I mean, just to like tie this up, I mean, when Patty goes, I love to see who's gonna jump in and fill
all
that
I'm
void.
saying is, Patty, we've boosted the shit out of you. You're coming on this podcast. Look, Patrick Brown legit unblocked me and started following me. So I'm hoping that I can get. I low key think we can get Patrick Brown on this podcast. I'm boys with some of his inside guys. I feel like we could do that. Do we have questions we want to ask him?
All right, we'll put it up. Someone, our 50, 60 viewers, come on,
any
reach
one of those
out.
people can reach out. You know what's fucked up is, this is what goes on my mind. This is my mind calculus. We get Patrick Brown on. Every friggin' media agency is going to go through every single podcast we've ever released. And then, is that something we want dug up?
You delete everything prior to 2016.
Yeah, all that shit's deleted. We've been good these last little whiles, no?
We've been all right.
I'm sure, but here's the thing. It's on the internet somewhere. Someone might find it. Anyways, apart from us potentially getting our asses fucking grilled by the media if we ever got someone notable on here, Calvin Ridley, I don't even know what the transition is right now. Calvin Ridley, an NFL player, suspended for betting $1,500 at some promo he was doing for someone.
I don't have much to say on this, but yeah, apparently
Kinda
he was caught with gambling. But this is a weird world we're entering into, because like sports gambling is getting legitimatized all over Canada and the US now. So before players couldn't even talk about, oh, what, yo, do you know what the odds are for me to do this week? Like shit like that. Those conversations weren't allowed, but now like they will be. They're gonna be like in the back of players' minds. They'll know what their spread is. They'll
And
know with that 2 seconds left, I can easily do this layup.
I mean,
And
we hear that in
oh my
post games, no? Where
yeah,
post game, they're like, these guys had us as the negative $500 that we had to go in there and win.
Hondo.
Like they kind of.
But man, like this is a new world, so like I don't know exactly what Ridley did.
And owners are invested in in these league, not these leagues, but these casinos to a certain degree, and even like FanDuels and all that. They promote the shit out of them. Like the same networks that are playing NFL nonstop are, the NFL is partnering with some of these betting sites to a degree. But now they're telling this guy like, yo, and he was betting on his team when he was injured. He wasn't even playing. He had no like way to influence the game. But they're saying, and he's like, yo, it was $1,500 that I was given as promo credit. It wasn't even me like putting big money in 10
That's
years.
hilarious. I had no idea if that's the truth. That's a joke.
$1,500. He said he was fined for a year and that's a $10 million from his contract that he's forfeiting.
That's shit. That's
$10 million over 50. That's a bad bet, man.
That's a bad. Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, all right, we spent a lot of time on a lot of shit today. Bandhar of the week. Bandhar of the week. I need a sound effect for that. Was that good?
Can we just throw in like some chimpanzee sound?
That's gonna get real interesting if we ever. I feel like we could get in trouble for that if we ever pick the wrong person.
Oh,
It's got to be a little bit more PC.
But people do. How about donkey?
Donkey. Yeah, donkey has no racial. Anyways, I'm digressing. This guy drives me crazy. I swear to God, I hate this guy with a fucking passion. And I'm not just being a hater. I know I hate on a lot of random people. My man here is...
Show his face. Show his face.
Show his face. Show his face. Right here. Kukreja. This guy annoys the shit. Like, more than Gary Pandey, more than the Maritime Panga group, the person I legitimately cringe at when he tweets, and he's everyone's probably like, oh, this guy sent me a follow request. This guy's a follow bot that tries to get you to follow him back by sending you follow requests, hoping you follow back, and he'll eventually unfollow you and he'll follow someone else. Look at this guy. Fuck. Proof that he has a follow bot, 1.4 million following. That's a shitty ratio to begin with. Ain't no one looking at their timeline with 1.4 million followers. That's just like a pipeline on Twitter. Every second, he's not using Twitter, man. Complete media whore.
I hate this guy.
This guy even dragged his wife and kids to dress up because he knew this shit would get him likes. And it works, right? Fuck, 606 likes, 85 retweets, 7. Fuck this guy, bro.
Sad to say, but there's 4 people in that picture or video that will need fucking counseling someday.
I just hate the fact I don't know how to define my disdain and my utter disgust for this human being, other than the fact that you're willing to clout chase to this nth of a degree. And he does this all the time with every single issue. He's the guy that when there was a terrorist attack in Spain and in all these small countries, tweets the map of the Gurdwara that can barely handle 10 people, saying, go there for shelter. And everyone in the Gurdwara is like, bro, we can barely take care of ourselves right now. And now you got 2,000 people at our doorstep saying, we're going to take care of you because this nutbag on Twitter sent us there. Fuck this guy all day. Just fuck him, man. I have nothing positive to say about this guy at all.
Yeah, Hundo. But you're right. This was a donkey move. I saw it today, and what a joke.
I cannot stand him. Go to the week. We have anyone that we want to nominate as go to the week?
No, I think we're a slow week on that end, man.
No one positive. No one's done anything worth.
I'll give it to Zelensky on the way out.
Zelensky. I feel like Zelensky might be a week-to-week favorite.
Yeah, so no one's really knocked him down yet. Let's see who does.
All right, so we got Zelensky as our what was our thing for it? Go to the week. I thought we had another title for it. Whatever. Zelensky good. Kukreja cocksucker. On that note, anything else you want to say?
No, man. Enjoy your time in Colombia, Robbie.
I might actually be away next week. And the week thing, I don't know if I won't be able to record. I'm going to definitely be AFK. So you got to figure that shit out. I'll give you guys my notes on how I do this shit. But damn, it's going to be a fun week. I'm going to be streaming every day next week. So if you're bored and you want to see what we do, just log on to Twitch. I'm back on Twitch, by the way. I kind of went back.
Nice.
after
Crawled
like
back.
after 8 months, I crawled back to Twitch.
Sick.
Twitch.tv/IronBangle with a 1. And yeah, just annoy me on Twitter, whatever you want if you disagree. We love the fact that so many people are interacting with us now, kind of like and telling us what they liked and didn't like about the podcast. So be sure to like just tune in. And you can leave a voicemail. If you want to be on the podcast, leave us a voicemail. I'll drop the link. It's an Anchor FM/Much Ado About Nothing, I think. It's one of the links that gets tweeted out. You can go there, and there's a way for you to click leave voice message. And you can leave a voice message. So leave us a voice message if we really irk you. Or send a WhatsApp voice.
Send us feedback and sexy notes, please.
And, what the
Anonymous.
Oh man, I'm not playing no sexy notes. That shit's just gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Thank
God my wife doesn't listen to this show.
It's not even gonna be sexy notes from like
It'll
females.
be dudes.
It's gonna be dudes telling us that they're gonna suck us off, and I'm gonna be so friggin' flustered and awkward by this that I won't be able to play this. It's bad enough if it was female. I don't want these notes from females, but if it's a guy, I feel even weirder because I'm not part of. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Does that make
I'll just ask Ken, give me the phone number.
Does
That'll be my response.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird. Anyways, leave us voice notes. We're down to hear what you guys got to say. If you have an opinion that differs from us or agrees with us, or if you just want to tell Randy he's an idiot, by all means, just leave a voice note punking. And if it passes the censorship board of complete objectivity, we'll play it. I have no problem playing something that someone calling me an idiot. I'm used to hearing that daily. But yeah, Randy, anything else?
That's it for me. Off to a night of working late. Peace.
Yeah, we took you till late, eh? All right, everyone. Enjoy your night. Peace.